Hey guys, recording tutorial for the flower weave ring. So as with any piece of jewelry, start with the things you know. We've got a 25 pointer and a finger size. And what we've got to do is we've got to create the 6 flower weave to go around it. So the reference images you've already got. I'm going to just start working. So there's a couple of ways to do the weave. Probably, I don't know, you could lay out a circle and edit the points for the weave, or the method I use normally for these is I actually use a spiral twist. So to be able to get everything back the way we want, this is going to be the stone we want, and we've decided we want it in a 6-claw head. So let's get our 6-claw head out. So we're going to go to the head builder, and that stone is very skew. MSR, why is that stone so skew? Let's get it straight. Okay. Now let's go back to our head builder, going back to the head builder, and we're after a 6-claw collet. Alright. I like to nudge my claws in just a little bit, otherwise you get unnecessarily heavy work happening. We can take out back to only 1 rail, and the head doesn't have to be particularly deep. As default heads goes, that's not very nice. So let's bring that base in a little bit. So let's go edit the 2nd level, and let's pick our rails, rails, and let's just take them in a bit, just a squidgen. I don't want to see it from the top. Okay, that's probably enough for you guys to get going with. So what we want to do now is we're putting 1.3 mils in our little 6 weave around here, whatever we want to call it. Remembering we can scale this, so it's not too much of an issue. So I'm just going to work with a circle from F4, again that our flower is going to be about, I don't know, yay big, something like that. Alright, let's get a length on that. The length is 30.61 millimeters. The command was length, so I'm going to copy that, right click and copy, and I'm going to create a new line over here. I'm going to use the command line from here. I'm going to hold down shift and tab so I'll lock it orthogonally, and I'm going to hit Control V, which is pasting the length that we just copied in there. So now we have a line unrolled representing that diameter, okay, the circumference, sorry. So what I'm going to do now is we need 6 flowers, but it's 2 of them over each other, so there's 3 leaves per flower. So we need a sine curve that flips 3 times. The easiest way to do that is to use the spiral command. So spiral, click on the command line around curve. That's our curve. How many have we got in here? We've got 3 turns, alright, which actually works out pretty much exactly what we want, because we've got to have 3 bits of flower. So I'm going to grab that, alright, something like that. I don't know, I'm just eyeballing this, right? Oops. Let's do that again. Around curve, select curve. I'm going to make that first diameter. I'm going to make that, what's that, 1.5, 3. I'm going to make it 3. And the 2nd diameter also 3. The 3. Crying out loud, really stuffing this up. Spiral around curve, that's the curve. First diameter point, I'm going to make it 1.5. Enter. And the end diameter point 1.5. Alright. That doesn't look too hot, so I'm going to scale 1D from there. That looks like about probably what we want. Alright. I'm going to flatten this out. Because I've created a spiral in the side views, we've got this going on. Alright. Now that's going to be too much. So I'm going to also scale 1D. A little lower, something like that. Alright. And let's have a look, see. Let's take you and flow you from there to there. And what that's done is it's given us a spiral curve that's come around and met itself, hopefully. Let's have a look, see. Yep, so it goes up, down, up, down, up, down. Alright, and everyone is happy. So let's have a look added around our curve, so that's going to come in about there. 1.3 mil stones, we've got 2.1 offset, so that's probably a little bit big. I'm going to scale 2D from F4 and bring it in probably just a little bit. Okay, and let's just watch it, make sure it is a closed curve. It's an open curve, so if it's open, it just means the point somewhere is not touching, so just go closed curve. Alright, and we can dump our little helper line, and we can dump that, and we can dump that. Alright, so what we need to do now is need to bring this fella up to around about where we need it. Okay, and I'm going to pipe that. My diameter for the pipe is going to be whatever we want our total thickness to be. In our case it was 2 millimeters. Okay. Alright, now the reason I'm doing that, even though it looks as stupid as it does, is because trying to offset a curve that has multiple planes where it's not planar can end up biting you in the bum just a little bit. Now I can tell that this is not going to be quite the right size for us yet, so I want to just grab this guy. We want to rotate that around F4, shift tab directly upwards with copy, and we want to go 60 degrees. Okay, so let's have a look. You see what I'm saying over here? This all needs to come in a little bit smaller because otherwise our stone is not going to touch. Okay, so let's grab our curve and scale 2D from F4, and that needs to come in probably about that much. Alright, just delete this, delete that, and let's do another pipe again. Okay, and let's rotate that around F4 with copy from there around 60 degrees. Okay, and now you can see that our claw is going to touch in there nicely. Okay, so let's dump the bit we don't need again, and what we want to do now is we need to get a flat area. So I'm going to extract an ISO curve from this pipe. Extract an ISO curve from you, and let's grab an inside one about there, and let's grab an outside one about there. Alright, so we're going to dump this. Okay, that's an easy way to just do an offset curve in 3 dimensions at one go. Okay, so that now represents our inside and our outside. What we need to do is we now need to sweep along this. Okay, so I'm going to grab the side rail. Our specs for the job was you wanted 1.3 high and 2 wide, so we've got the 2 wide. We now need a rail that's going to represent the 1.3 high. I'm going to let's grab a circle 2 point from this mid to that mid. Let's turn on the edit points for that. Okay, so the top's going to be flat, pretty much, something like that, and the base is going to be half round under, something like that. Alright, I think I'm going to move these two up a bit. Okay, and I'm going to rebuild this curve. Whoops. Rebuild the curve. Let's keep it at 8. Whoa. Okay, so let's take this. Let's just hide those two. And let's split this with a point on its quads. Quads are not on. Quads on. Quad. And the other quad is there. Let's take you. Let's pick you up. So we need 1.3 mil total height, alright? So let's have a look at our... Let's take a curve from that mid, shift tab, 1.3 mil. Let's move you from that quad to that quad. Alright. Now in reality this is going to have to be printed and cleaned up and so on, so I like to scale this just a little bit. Alright, because you said it also needs a bit of space to cut with. So I'm going to draw there, and I'm going to just draw a line from there to there, and a line from there to there. Alright, and that's a path curve. So let's join that up and let's show. Alright, so let's sweep those. So what we want to do is we want to do a sweep 2. With that, you and you. Sweep 2 with you. Okay, let's have a look. Why am I happy with that? Let's put that on shaded. Is that doing what we want? I think it's pretty much alright. So we've got the nice half round underneath, we've got the flattish area on the top that our setter is going to need, and I'm going to go OK. Alright, so the thing left to do now is to rotate that from there with copy 60 degrees. Okay, so that's our flower shape that we have. If that's too deep for you, or not deep enough, in my mind this needs to be a little bit probably shallower, but you guys are asking for quite a heavy thing, so you can probably drop this one into that one just a little bit more, and what's going to happen is you're going to have less overlap and a thinner piece altogether. At this point in the game you'll have the geometry from the tutorial, so why not have a look at thinning it down yourselves, up or down as you require. So I'm going to just grab that back in, we're going to pull this down. Okay, so what we need to do now is need to start laying some stones out on this guy and decide whether we want to curve it. Whether you're going to curve this, how you want the shank to come up or down, is going to be up to you. Some of these I've seen done with the collet coming through and then an upsweep shank grabbing onto it over there. Some of them, this is brought down low and it's curved. I'm going to go with the low and curved version. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing with that. I'm going to cage edit this, and what I want to grab is I want to grab all those inside points, there and there, and I'm going to pull them up. Alright, I'm holding shift while I'm dragging. Essentially what I'm doing is, give it a second to work. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm pulling the middle up, and I'm going to now pull the outside down a bit. Alright, so let's grab that and that and that and that, and that's just going to tilt our flower downwards so it wraps around the finger a little bit more. Alright. Okay. So the last thing we want to do over here is just need one set of stones, and we're going to array it around and then pop a shank on the whole lot. Okay, I still think that this looks really heavy. You guys can scale 1D. I think 1.3 is a bit much. I think you need 1 mil. So let's have a look. Anyway, so let's extract a curve and let's get going on it. Alright, so I'm going to extract an ISO curve out of the surface. Extract an ISO curve from that surface, and I'm wanting it round about in the middle, so about there. Alright, and I'm now going to split this ISO curve with a point. I'm going to split it probably where these two surfaces intersect, around there somewhere, and then again around there somewhere. Okay, I'm going to let go of this and delete the rest of the curve. Now I'm going to find that little curve, I'm going to put on something nice and bright so we can see what we're doing. Now we're going to lay out a couple of gems, and so we're going to grab that curve and we're going to middle click and we're going to go to gem on curve, and you can notice they're pointing all randomly. So what we're going to do is we're going to, on the command line, look at QLA direction, we're going to say object, and we want to point it at this object. Okay, so the next thing is we know what our size of our gems is. So the start size is going to be 1.3, and we're going to pull it in as close as we can to the end there, and again as close as we can to the end there, and let's start closing up our gaps because we want a nice tight setting. Doesn't want to fit. Well, let's go in a bit more. Let's go in a bit more. Let's pull our spacing in. Okay, so you can tell that 1.3s, you're going to have a problem getting them in there. So I'm going to space them a little bit further apart. What I might do, sometimes, if you just rebuild that curve, well, rebuild that down to something reasonable, okay, and start again. Okay, so we need the start size to be 1.3. Alright, and we want a tighter spacing. No, you're not going to fit more 1.3s than that in there. So you're going to have to come to the decision whether you want to work with 1.2s, or you're just going to wing it. If I push that in there, and I push that in there a bit and pull my spacing in, you can just make it. Okay. Alright, so all we need from this really is going to be the Boolean cutters, because your setter is going to cut up his grains himself. Alright, so I'm going to grab that group, and I'm going to go gem cutters, gem cutter, and I'm going to, what I do when the setters want something done so that they're going to do it themselves, I just pull out a straight gem cutter and I pull it to about 60% of the size of the stone. Alright, about there. Pull it right through. Okay, make sure we clearance everything and press enter, because all we're going to be doing at this point is just booleaning this out of the head. Alright, so I'm going to grab that. Oopsie, I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to grab those three, and I'm going to array polar around F4 with 3, and just double check that everything's good. Are we good? Everyone is still happy? Alright, then we're going to copy that whole lot. Control and let go of that, and we're going to rotate around F4 with copy from there 60 degrees, and press escape. Now I just want to check that I haven't got stones flipping in underneath other stuff. No, we're also looking pretty good. Okay, so at this point in the game we're ready to boolean these guys and turn off our stone layer, and let's work on the shank. So let's grab, I'm going to go cell curve, and I'm going to leave my shank out there, so I'm going to let go of the shank, and the rest of them I'm going to put on the grey layer and turn the grey layer off. Okay, so let's get into the Boolean builder, tools, Boolean builder, and let's grab U, and U being our objects. Let's grab the orange layer being our cutters. We want to make sure that we're on Boolean difference, and we want to make sure we're doing 1 by 1. Okay, so let's go do Boolean. Alright, give that a second to work its way around. The faster your machine is, the faster this happens. Okay, I might just pause this video until the Booleans are done. Okay, done and dusted. So we've got all the holes coming through. Wow, not pretty. Not pretty at all. Alright, what I might do in a case like this is I'm going to Control Z that. How can I undo? Let's undo that Boolean. Alright, not pretty at all. I'm going to grab that layer, delete it. Come on. Hello. Delete. Alright, I'm going to grab those gems again, and I'm going to go gem cutter, and I'm going to pick that style over there. Okay, and I'll leave it up to your setters to figure out what they want to do over there about getting those holes through, because you may not want to drill through all of them. You may want to only drill through those two over there, or okay, so let's do this again. Boolean builder, that in there, orange layer in there, and 1 by 1, do Boolean. Alright, let's pause that off again. Okay, so done. Alright, so let's turn the gems off. And essentially you got that. I mean, your setter will be able to work around that, because he has to still drop them down and decide what he wants to drill through. So I haven't drilled that one. It'd be up to you guys. Might want to put a 1.2 or something in there. So this is just an example of how things happen. Okay. Alright, so let's have a look at our shank. Like I said, there's a couple of variables over here that nobody knows except the person making the ring. You may want that thing to be 6 mil high. You may not. You may want to pull this bezel through. I'm going to go head builder, and I'm going to pull it. You may want to bring that down like that. That kind of a deal. Hang on a second, where are we? And run a shank all the way through and an upsweep. So let's look at that. You may want to run this kind of gig. Yuck, that looks terrible. Yeah, so you may want to be running this kind of a deal. I don't, who knows? I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, I'm going to leave the files in the tutorials, and you can play and poke around as you need. Okay. I'm going to now create the outside shank. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to middle click. I'm going to go outside ring rail. Grab that, and let's have a look at a couple of. Let's see them as we work on it. Is that going to do me that? I reckon. Let's have a look at that one. Yeah, something like that. Let's bring that in. That doesn't need to be any more than 1.6. Neither does that. Oh, I think 1.8, 1.8, and 1.8. Alright, so the variety of ways of doing this is you can offset this by about 1 millimeter. That's right. Same with that, by about 1 millimeter, and you can create an upsweep shank out of this, or you can do the cut through shank that we were looking at earlier. I'm going to just do an upsweep shank just for the kicks. Alright. I'm going to scale that 1D from the world origin, bring it in a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm just changing where the V is. Alright. Scale that up a little bit. Alright, and let's trim this whole lot. Enter, join, and then the last thing we're looking for is we're going to just cut that off with a curve through there. So I'm going to take a line, say through there and there, and I'm going to highlight all of this, and I go invert command, hide, and let's do another trim. Let's get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, and that, and that, and that. Enter. Join. Okay, let's show everything again. And basically what we want to do now is we want to just extrude this. Hang on a second. Apologies. So basically we're going to extrude this 3.5 mil. So extrude that 3.5 millimeters. So half 3.5 is 1.75. Okay, so we have a straight shank now. Alright, which is not what we're after. We're wanting a half round shank, but I'll show you now how we work around that. So we're going to work out how much D-shape we want. If we want that much D-shape, we're going to have to bring all the outside in a little bit, explode the outside, and work from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump this again. I forgot that I'm after a D-shape here. I'm going to press F10, grab those points, those ones, and all of those ones. All of these, and you, and all of you, and you. Is that it? And I'm going to scale them inwards by the amount of the D-shape we want. Alright. Yeah, it's looking pretty good to me. Now, what we want to do now is we want to extrude that again. Again, 1.75 is enough, and now we're going to explode this, alright? And we're going to throw away the outside surface we don't want, and we're going to hide all the stuff on the top. Hang on a second, I'm going to join it all back up again. Join, and then hide that. And let's create our shank. So we've got everything we need, the flat areas we need. The only thing we need is just to create the half round that's in there. So I'm going to jump on the bottom. I'm going to get a curve, mark with handle, from that quad to that quad, about something like that. Alright, and we're going to do a sweep 2. We're going to sweep 2 with you and you, and we're going to sweep from you. Sweep 2 with you and you. Cross section curve is you, you, and you. Okay, we can rejoin this. And the last thing we're wanting to do was just to taper the bottom into about 2.5. Alright, so run the taper command from the top center, shift tab downwards, and switch on flat and infinity, and just bring that in Alright, so let's have a look at what we got. Let's show everything. So basically, you have the ring with an upsweep shank now. Okay. And your decision could have been to go the other method. Your curve would have just been a curve in there, and this maybe would have come down lower. I'm going to leave all the curves intact and let you guys play with however it is you see this working for you. Okay. Depending on whether you machine or grow this, you may want to at this point just check everything. If you're going to grow it, you need to just watt it and make sure that it's a closed solid poly surface. And same with you, closed solid poly surface, and the same with you, closed solid poly surface. Alright, so basically that's that. Job's done. Alright, pull your gems out and job bag. Okay. Guys, good fun doing these videos for you. Cheers, Chris out.